I was in this hopeless state of mind, right? And I was sick of the life I was living at, but I was caught up in it at the same time. I couldn't find a way to stop. And there was a time where, yeah, I was thinking about, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I just can't do this anymore. And I would say things like, maybe it would just be better off if I was gone.
My dad is very smart. He's extraordinarily caring. He's super funny. He's definitely a jokester. He's got a soft side, obviously, for me and my sister.
I remember something was different in my dad, like from the get-go. His addiction came into play, like there wasn't really like a father role around.
Yeah, like when he would be with us, it's not like he was actually there.
I wasn't making an effort, right? And even in this constant stupor that I was in, I knew that they weren't to blame. It wasn't that they were like, Dad, we don't want to talk to you anymore, which they didn't want to talk to me anymore, but I knew why. I knew the reason why, right? And I didn't blame them for it.
He would pick us up. I don't know, like I went about, he would always say, okay, like we have to go to the store right now, like I have to get Daddy's pop. And like we'd always be like, well, we know it's beer, and like he referred to beer as Daddy's pop.
Or like he would always have it, like, this is so horrible, but like picking us up, he would actually like have it like in the cup holder, yeah, in the car, and he would be drinking it.
I drove with my kids in the car and I'd be drunk. I'd look out my, the old story where you look out the window and see your car in the driveway and you don't remember how it got there. Sometimes my car would be on the front lawn and I just, or I'd see scratches or dents on my car and I have no idea how they happened. I used cocaine for about 8 years and maybe a little less, but like I said, when you're using cocaine, you can drink and drink and drink. It allows you to just drink like a fish and get drunk, but not, you don't get super sloppy or anything. So now without cocaine, I'm drinking and getting very, very sloppy and very, very messy.
So yeah, these are my old stomping grounds. This is downtown Hamilton. Brings back a lot of emotions, feelings, memories for a variety of reasons. My earlier years when I was a lot younger, this was kind of the area where I plied my trade, I guess you could say, and ran around and got into a lot of trouble down here.
And he was telling us about how he said, like when he was younger, that he would never do cocaine. Like he would be the person to never do it. And I remember he told us like a month ago, he's like, I never said I would do it, and then someone introduced me to it, and he said
it was like
after the first time he was hooked. He was hooked.
But high school, I was one of those kids that was, high school was different actually. I was very small back in high school. I had this growth spurt between 11 and 12, and I was kind of bullied and picked on mostly in elementary school, but I was one of those kids when I got into high school that was smoking cigarettes and drinking beer on the weekends. And right out of high school, I did 2 years at McMaster University. And in my second year, I was already very kind of in the drug use, not cocaine, but other stuff, and a lot of drinking. McMaster, right? University, so, which isn't true for everybody, but it was for me. But in my second year, I had my first daughter, and I was already like not attending a lot of classes, and I wasn't doing very well. So I dropped out. But then I went to work at Camco here in Hamilton. They're closed now, but I worked there for 11 years. So when I did a lot of stuff to get drugs, and I eventually turned to dealing. The best way to maintain a steady drug habit is to become a dealer. But I was actually, I started a marijuana grow up, even though I was never really much of a weed smoker, but I knew there was money to be made. And I had a big 4-level back split up here on the mountain, and the basement and sub-basement were full of weed. And that eventually got me landed in jail as well, because after 2 years, I got busted for that. But so I was growing weed for 2 years and doing a lot of trading marijuana for coke, right?
Spent the odd night on benches like these when it was warmer out. You'd take your coat, make a little pillow, or use it as a blanket. But if it was warmer, that's your pillow, and you just sleep it off till the morning. And that's all you do. But it's way too cold for that. Yeah, sleeping rough is no fun. Thank goodness I don't got to do that anymore.
I had a DUI. I think it would have been around 2006 maybe or something like that. I was living in Cambridge, and I was working for a nursery. Actually, I was working on a farm out in Mississauga. I was drinking heavily back then, and I was into the cocaine use at that time as well. I had been offered a shift on a Sunday to go in and spray the fields. And I'd been drinking all night Friday, all day Saturday, hadn't slept much, drinking straight whiskey. And it was like 9 o'clock in the morning. I was at a buddy's place, and I don't think I'd slept at all. And I kept thinking, man, I got to get to work. I got to go to this, I got to do this. I said I would. And somehow I managed to drive all the way out to Mississauga. I was drinking as I was driving, straight. It was vodka at that point. And I got there, I started up my tractor and everything, and realized that I'm too drunk to do this. I'm too drunk. Like I had no problems driving my car all the way out there, but when it came to driving the tractor, I was worried about, making a mess of the fields and everything. And I said, I'm just too drunk. I can't do this. So I got back in my car, and I was driving on the 401 back to Cambridge, and I must have nodded off. I mean, I was very drunk, and I must have nodded off, and I went off the highway. Down into the grass, like down this embankment, and they said I was doing about 110, 120 kilometers an hour, and I spun all the way around a bunch of times. And when I saw the car later on, I couldn't believe how much like dirt and grass, and like I'd smashed through the windshield with my forehead, and I was bleeding everywhere. But somehow I managed to get the car back up onto the highway, and I thought I got to get off the highway because I'm sure somebody had seen me, and I managed to get off. I was in Cambridge at that point. I got off the first exit, and yeah, sure enough, a guy had seen me do this and had seen my erratic driving and followed me. And I went down a side street and passed right out. And he'd obviously called the police, which was a good thing. And yeah, next thing I know, the police are knocking on my window, and I fell out of the car, and I was immediately placed under arrest and brought to the hospital. And yeah, they said that I was almost 4 times the legal limit. I was 0.368 or whatever it was, and the nurses were saying that I should have been in an alcoholic coma and stuff. And they said, we can tell that you've been drinking, I guess, for a long time, because there's no way you should even be able to walk right now. And I mean, for me back then, I thought that was normal. I thought it was normal that I'd be drunk like this every day, right? It was normal for me. I went to detox in Hamilton. I went to a detox the first time I went in. Actually, my brother and sister-in-law brought me there from jail. They bailed me out of jail. I was in a jail somehow. I ended up in a jail in Mississauga or something, somewhere out there. And they came and opened my cell door, and they said, you have visitors. And I'm like, who would be visiting me out here? I don't even know how I got out here. But anyway, it was my brother and sister-in-law, and they said, we'll get you out, but you're on one condition. We're taking you right to detox. And of course I agreed, because I want to get out of jail. And I went to detox, and I stayed there for about 3 hours. So I went back into detox, put myself in there this time. I said, no, this is it. And I stayed the full, I think I was in there for about 10, 11 days. And from there, they refer you into a rehab, right? So they told me I could go to this one that was 28 days out in St. Catharines, and I said that's not long enough for me. I need something longer. I mean, I'm shutting everything down in my life for this, and if I'm going to do this, because I was working sporadically here and there, but I said if I'm going to shut my whole life down and go to a rehab, it's going to be for longer than 28 days because that's not going to be enough. And so I went for 4 months to a rehab here in Hamilton. In the detox, the second time that I was in the detox was the first time in probably almost a year that I saw my girls. My ex-wife actually brought my daughters to the detox to visit me. And that was a very emotional afternoon, not having seen them for a long time. And it was just a lot of crying and stuff, and them saying, Dad, you gotta stick with this time and everything else, right? I mean, they'd gotten sick of me. You know, you get tired of hearing somebody say, oh no, I'm gonna do it this time. Oh no, don't worry, I'll show up and I'll be sober. And you know what I mean? They got tired of hearing that after a while. But now I'm in the detox for, I think it was day 7 or day 8. And I've been calling them and saying, hey, I'm in detox and I'm sticking here and stuff. And they're like, well, we hope so, Dad, we hope so, you know.
Of course I was upset, but I was more always angry at the situation. Like there would be many times where like he was supposed to meet us or come pick us up, and like it never happened because he was like drunk or high, whatever the case was. And I was always really protective of her because I don't think that Eden really like understood it ever.
So in talking with my counselor, we looked at a bunch of options. There was a course at McMaster, I think a 3-year, but it was just straight addictions counseling or addictions, whatever. And I figured that a social service work program would open up more doors for me. I wouldn't just be pigeonholed into dealing with addiction, but there was other things that I could do in a social service work field, right? So yeah, we looked into where I could go and stuff, and I went, they had a program at Mohawk, it was at the time called CC&P or whatever, right? Continuing, I forget what it was called, but anyway, it was to kind of get upgraded and get your skills back to prep you for college. And I did that for however long that was, and then applied to the social service work program at Mohawk and got in and did my 2 years and graduated. And it was a great experience.
Paul Kuntz with honors.
I'm Paul, it's 2015. I'm a recovering cocaine addict and alcoholic. I'm educated, I'm working, great relationships with my family, lots of friends, great life.
He's definitely doing what like his life should have been, what his life journey is. I think he puts like all of his skills into his everyday now, when before he really didn't care about anything other than drugs and alcohol. So I think now he's living life to his full potential.
I'm an addictions counselor. I run a day program for addicts and alcoholics men that I had mandated to be there as part of their parole or whatever, or just looking, you know, to get clean or sober, and it's a day program. Since graduating from the social service work department, I've worked in men's shelters. I did some work in the detox, and yeah, now I'm doing addiction counseling.
Look at that. There's a little bit of hope in the whole detritus. I'm just going to leave that right there for the next person to find.
know, just to see my dad now, he's just so happy. Yeah, I love being around him. I love seeing him.
If you can set your mind to it, you can do it. So if there's even one person out there that sees this, that says, that gets some kind of strength or comfort or hope or wisdom out of this old guy, then that's great. And if not, well, it's been fun anyway.